It is day one of the 2025 American Speed Fest. Qualifying is in the books, and now it is time for the racing action here in the NASCAR Euro Series. We are very excited by the prospect of what is coming up next here. It is a 38-lap race around the difficult, treacherous, challenging Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. We have seen here in the past in the NASCAR Euro Series just how fabulous this circuit is for our cars and our style of racing. That's why Brands Hatch and the American Speed Fest is a highlight of our calendar. We always love coming to Brands Hatch. So then, as you can see, the cars are now lined up and ready for racing action. They're currently making their way down to the grid. Of course, we have a little way to go before the countdown to command is given. The drivers will pull up, they will turn their motors off, and then we will see, as we so often do here at Brands Hatch, the cars almost disappear into a wall of humanity. So many fans here, as always, at the American Speed Fest 12, which is presented by Lucas Oil. A fabulous, fabulous event, one of the highlights of the season at the Brands Hatch circuit, which is quite the achievement for EuroNASCAR as an organisation to be one of the cornerstones of the major events calendar here at a circuit that, of course, has hosted everything from the World Sports Car Championship to Formula One and just about everything else in between. Lest we forget, the reason it's called the Indy Circuit is because at one time it hosted, I should say, the IndyCar Series. The fans are streaming towards the cars and the drivers at the moment. One of the drivers down there is our reigning king of Brands Hatch. That man's name is Liam Hasemans, and the question on everybody's lips is, can he retain his crown and his throne here in 2025? You don't vote for kings. They take power with a little more force. Welcome to Brands Hatch, where fear, surprise, and ruthless efficiency will determine our winner. The legend of Brands Hatch tells that every year the mightiest knights gather on the Druid's Hill and battle for the throne. But only one may wear the crown and lay claim to these lands.
I will be the king of Brands.
I'm the reigning king of Brands Hatch, and I will defend the throne.
You don't have to look for the king, he's right in front of you.
Coming is racing. It is but a scratch and a small price to pay for a shot at the Holy Grail and celebrate upon the NASCAR Euro Series throne. Who will be our new king? There we go, Liam Hasemans with his stake with the crown at the moment after winning the most points last year here in the NASCAR Euro Series. Of course, we always have those Best Driver of the Weekend awards for the driver who's done the most points scoring across the two races. But here at Brands Hatch, it has that royal flavour to it, and here in the UK, of course, there's such huge American influence going back now over 8 decades to when there were so many US Air Force bases here in Britain, and the American troops certainly left their impression on culture here generally, especially automotive culture, and we still love a big V8. It hasn't changed any iota at all. Let's go down to Andre Viegold with our pole sitter, Gianmarco Ercoli.
Thank you so much, Adam. Gianmarco, pole position here today after a really good qualifying. We know that Brands Hatch is always something special to you. How do you feel?
No, the feel is good, but the secret is only one. We do the management to the baby boss.
Yeah.
No, it's an incredible job of the team. And this morning the car was really perfect. Now it's hard with the weather because I don't know if arrived the rain. But I have one goal here. When you start in the first row, is always try to do the different.
Yeah, and exactly, Caneori Jr. here. Back to you, Adam.
Excellent stuff down there on the grid from Andre, and he's about to have a bit more trouble walking from car to car, because as you can see, the fans are literally walking down in their thousands at the moment to meet and greet the drivers. Less than half an hour before the race begins, they're going to get the opportunity to see these cars and these drivers up close and personal. There was something of a delay to the previous race, which I think has slightly extended, or rather slightly shortened, the period of time that the fans are going to get down there. So they're going to have to lap it all up while they can. And of course, they will be able to do so again tomorrow on Speedfest Sunday. Jack Davidson, one of the home stars, is with Andre.
You won here last year in Open, now it's in Pro. You have a really decent starting position, but before we go to racing, what's on your headphones right now to get you pumped up?
To be fair, I like a mixture of all kind of music. I mean, right now it's Akon that's on, so yeah, I don't know. We'll maybe change it up before we get in the car.
What about racing? It seems like, of course, Brands Hatch is your home circuit. You're really good at this racetrack. We saw it in qualifying. What do you think? Is there a podium possible?
Definitely possible. I mean, from the last race there, the Legends have dropped quite a bit of oil around the track. So, I mean, for the first kind of few laps, everyone has to get the feelers out and make sure the track's actually still quite good. But yeah, I mean, we're just going to try and get our head down, go forward, and hopefully stay out of all the kind of hassle that's probably going to happen on track.
What about having your home event? A lot of people around here, a lot of fans. I saw you already signing tons of autographs. How does it feel like?
Yeah, really good. I mean, it's the fans that make all these events. I keep saying it every time I get kind of interviewed or anything. The fans make this, and it's such a good experience, especially at the home crowd. I mean, yeah, as you said, I've been signing loads of autographs, taking photos. There's bands on the car as well. They get basically gone within minutes of putting it out on the bonnet of the car. So, yeah, I mean, it's really good to do it in front of a home crowd, but hopefully we can go forward from here.
All right, thank you so much. Good luck. Back to you, Adam.
Yeah, really interesting for Jack Davidson. He lines up row 2 of the grid, P4, one of his strongest starting positions that we've seen for him in the Euro NASCAR Pro division, which of course is his main focus in the 2025 season with his own home run Lux Motorsport car, and the driver who became the first British winner of a Euro NASCAR race here last year. Would love to be getting some overall podiums, even maybe challenging for that victory up at the sharp end. And just ahead of him on the grid is one of the great stories of this weekend so far, the 24 of Vittorio Garelli.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adam. Vittorio, normally we talk about your successes in Euro NASCAR as an athlete, but this time I think we have to talk about the Team PK Car Sport. There was a violent accident yesterday in free practice. They rebuilt this car over the night. How proud are you of these guys?
Yeah, really, I have no words. What happened yesterday in racing can happen. You know, it was, I think we're still investigating front right failure, I think in the wishbone. But the main thing, Thomas was okay, my teammate, and he was fine. I mean, that's what counted. But yeah, the car was to pieces, and I mean, we had some thoughts, you know, we had to retire, you know, because It was literally, we had to change every single piece of the car, weld the chassis, cut it, weld it again, then cut it again and weld it again, engine off, new engine in. And I mean, after all this, tension, stress, to get me a good car. And yeah, it was a bit new parts, so it was a bit tight still. It has to loosen up a bit, but to put it in front row, I'm really proud of these guys. I mean, they're for sure the best team I've ever raced with, and like a F1 team in NASCAR.
Thank you so much. I have to go to Thomas right now because we have to talk about this. Thank you so much, Vittorio. But here we have Thomas Dąbrowski. Can you talk about what happened yesterday?
Oh yeah, it was a big one. The front right wheel broke, and I couldn't do anything. It was just on the touch of the braking point, so the speed was about between 200 and 210 kilometers. So I tried my best to turn as much as possible, but the car was going straight, and yeah, big hit. But yeah, in the head it's quite particular because it will happen, and like I accepted it, and I was like, okay, but now how much pain I will feel in the crash? And then I did the 3 rolls and landed on the roof. But the most scary thing, I think, is the fire. When you see the fire in front of you, really not comfortable with this, and trying to get out of the car from the driver's window, and the wall was there, so yeah, a lot of stress. You have to take a breath and think what you can do, and fortunately I could go out from the passenger window, and everything was good. Falling several times because I think the pain was hitting hard, and the adrenaline also. I did all the check at the hospital, everything is good. I just had a big hit on the knee, but I don't feel anything anymore. I did the quali, not so confident, but it will get better, and now let's go for the race, trying to gain position because we start P10, and to do a good time for tomorrow.
All right, thank you so much. It's really good to see you back in the grid and also back in the car after such a violent incident. And Adam, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe we have even the onboard footage ready to be shown here on the live stream of Thomas Dąbrowski's crash.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a look at it there during the interview. It was a violent impact that we had there from Thomas Dąbrowski, explaining it well there from his point of view, but the car simply not turning with that broken wheel going into Paddock Hill Bend, where you've, of course, it's so critical. The deceleration is massive going into that corner anyway, and so if the slightest thing goes wrong, it can be a little bit scary. Get well soon, Ariana Casoli. Great message there, Andre.
Yeah, thank you so much. I've heard right now that you already played the onboard of Thomas Dąbrowski's crash, but now I'm here with Speedhouse's Marco Raggi, and you have something very special here. We had a big crash in Vallelunga with Ariana Casoli. You have some updates there?
Yeah, basically Ariana is recovering. I don't know exactly the timing because so it's complicated. So we hope all to have Ariana soon with us. We hope for most.
Thank you so much. Get well soon, Ariana. Hopefully you're watching here, and we will see you back on the grid very soon.
Yeah, hopefully so. Carrying a bit of a wrist injury following that impact at Vallelunga at scary high speeds. We look forward to welcoming Ariana Casoli back into the paddock before long. You can see the swarms of fans around many of the cars, including the Retty Jones Racing number 30 there. Liam Hazeman's in conversation at the moment, and Andre Vigold has managed to expertly scythe his way through the crowd, so we'll go down there and chat to him just as soon as the cameraman catches up. But of course, Liam always very popular down there, Andre.
All right, I'm it's already signed. Okay, perfect. You know, I feel like a little bit because it's so packed right now in the grid walk, like going into Paddock Hill Bend with 22 cars, and it's getting really packed there as well. How do you feel before the start of the race?
As usual, I mean, always good, always pleasure to be here. For sure, here in Brands Hatch, biggest event for NASCAR, so no, always nice, you know. It's always, just when you look there, it's already crazy to see how many people come around, so no, always a pleasure to be here.
What about the car? It was really fast on Friday.
Yeah.
It was decent in qualifying. Do you think you have a weapon there to fight for the win?
Yeah, 100%. I really do think we have one of the quickest car because we showed it yesterday in practice, also on the long runs, short runs was very, very good. Just in qualifying, I just made a mistake by myself. So those 2 laps, you know, those 2 quick laps you need to do, it has been a bit of a struggle the whole year round. But no, I think the car is very, very good. So for sure we will try to put a good show and a good battle also for the guys in front.
All right, thank you so much. Good luck. Back to you, Adam.
Great to hear from Hollywood Liam Hasemans. I don't think I've called him that much recently, but he is always, of course, one for a spectacular moment, hence the nickname. And he will be starting from row 2 of the grid alongside Jack Davidson. Liam, of course, will be eager to welcome back his regular co-driver Jill Linster, who's currently suffering with a little bit of illness and injury, but we hope to see him back before too long. Mikael Bleekemolen will be in the car in the open division, so he's moved from Team Bleekemolen, his eponymous team, to Retty Jones Racing for this weekend, which has given the opportunity for Bruno Mulders to step into the hot seat in Pro, Andre.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adam. Going from karting into open, into pro in such a short period of time, and you're really competitive. How do you feel after such amazing races so far?
Yeah, it just feels really good. We keep on improving, keep on working with the entire team, and it just keeps getting better.
But why? What is it that makes you so confident in this car?
To be honest, I have no idea, but it's just I'm doing my thing, I'm enjoying it a lot, and it's lovely here.
What about this event? First time for you, Brands Hatch, as a race car driver. It must feel very special, right?
Yeah, it's obviously an iconic track. It's really nice to drive, feels really good, and with the elevation difference, it makes it so amazing to drive.
All right, then good luck and have fun. Back to you, Adam.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andre. Of course, for young Bruno Mulders, it's his first time at racing at a circuit that has hosted a Formula One Grand Prix in the past. I'm sure that will have some meaning to him. The famed Brands Hatch facility, of course, as we said at the top of the broadcast, has hosted just about everything there is to host over the years. But in the current day, there are very few times where you see more humanity on the circuit than we currently have on the main straight, on the Brabham Straight here. Very, very busy drivers, making sure all the fans get the opportunity to say hi and get a chat. And I think Andre is among the fans waiting for a chat with Thomas Chrysonis.
I'm trying, and everybody is now noticing we are live.
The ladies who wanted yes, we are live.
Very quick word. Decent starting position here in qualifying. What do you think you're capable of doing today?
I think we can aim to be in the top 5. If nobody is crashing and we have a good pace, it will be hard to pass because all the cars are running on the same speed. But the ladies here told me that I will have a lot of luck, so maybe we can win. We can still win today also. So.
I think we keep it with this. Back to you, Adam.
Thomas Chrysonis with plenty of fans coming to say hi to him. A lot of fans here at Brands Hatch would have seen him racing many years ago in junior saloon cars, and he's been racing in Euro NASCAR for 6 seasons, so he's a very familiar name, a very familiar face to fans who come to the American Speedfest on a regular basis. But he's never been this far up the order so consistently before. For the fans that come here every year and get to see the drivers develop, or indeed those of you who watch us every time on the live stream, watching Thomas Chrysonis really hit his stride this year with that new collaboration with PK Carsport has been brilliant to watch because he's a lovely guy and he deserves it, but also quite unexpected. Sebastian Bleekemolen is with Andre.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adam. Your teammate, Bruno Mulders, in front of you in the 72 car. Here's the 69. Very interesting constellation, right?
Well, it's his third car event ever, so I'm really proud of him. But yeah, for me it's a bit of a disappointment, of course. P7 on the grid, and I hope for more, but let's see where we end up. The track is with oil from the other series, so it will be tough the first laps. And if we look to the sky, it might be some rain.
Maybe.
Maybe. Let's see.
Remember this iconic meme we created with you, the rain races?
Yeah.
Remember that?
It was at Most.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I like Most also, but
you have to take a look at this. Yeah, you have to take a look at this iconic meme. We have to find it somewhere. But even if it's raining, what do you need to change on a track like this?
Well, it depends. If they give the sign wet race, then you can decide what tires you will start on. But then they won't stop the race. But if it's dry, normally they don't give the sign in front of the race, and then we have a procedure to change to rain tires. But it doesn't seem that it's going to rain really hard. So it is what it is. It's all the same for everybody.
All right, thank you so much. Good luck in the race. Back to you, Adam.
There we go, Sebastian Bleekemolen, team boss, of course, down at Team Bleekemolen, and mentoring young Bruno Mulders, who is hitting his stride magnificently. Starting on the third row of the grid, Mulders, in just his second race in the pro category, he could really do something special here, alongside Thomas Chrysonis on that third row of the grid. Sebastian Bleekemolen behind him, as Andre alluded to, down on row 4 of the grid. Fairly strong starting position, may be able to fight for a top 5 from there, as we see the fans in their droves. The countdown to command is less than a dozen minutes away, so we'll have to see whether or not they will very soon get told to vacate, otherwise the race won't start in time, and they want to see all of the action. Of course, Thomas Torfel's car there, which will be starting on pole position later on in the Euro NASCAR Open race. He's competing in both categories this weekend. Andre, why you got your palm?
It starts a little bit raining right now. When I take a look at the sky, it's just one black cloud at the moment. How do you feel right now?
Like you, I feel rain here, but yeah, we will see. Maybe it's just that. Yeah, it's the same for everybody, so we will see with that after that.
Oh, that's perfect. An umbrella immediately when it starts raining. This is exactly the service we need. You must be very happy with the pace. You're pulling double duty in both championships. Yeah. Here you have a decent starting position in Pro. You will be on pole position in Open. So everything works fine after the crash in Vallelunga, right?
Yeah. Everything works fine. So also it was a great job from the team, because the car was totally crashed after Vallelunga. So yeah, I am happy to be here and for the pace of the weekend at this moment.
All right, thank you so much. Good luck, and thank you so much for the umbrella. Merci beaucoup. Back to you, Adam.
Thank you very much, Andre. Less than 10 minutes until the command is given to start engines, and there's more than one umbrella up around the circuit. The winds are still pretty high as well, so the weather is going to probably chop and change quite a bit over the next few minutes. You see those clouds overhead. This could be a real twist in the tail. Of course, we do have wet tyres available here in the NASCAR Euro Series. The wet compound Huggia tyre, the treaded tyre, is available for drivers, but as Sebastian alluded to earlier on, only if race is declared wet. So let's see, is there cause for the race to be declared wet here? The umbrellas certainly are popping up around the circuit. The fans are making their way back to the grandstands at the moment, and you can see the raindrops falling on the shot there. But what you can also see is where that oil has gone down and where the cement dust resin mixture has gone down, which is right on where your left side wheels would be as the front row starter on the inside going into turn 1. So for Gianmarco Ercoli, that could be a little bit compelling. manipulation going on. I also see some tyres being wheeled across the pit lane at the moment by a couple of teams, so certainly they're expecting potential for a tyre switch late in the game here. You can see just what a battering those flags are taking. I believe we're in the midst of anthems.
Well, that's brilliant to get the US national anthem. It always feels right.
There you go. That was the little bit of the Star-Spangled Banner. My apologies for talking over that in amongst all the excitement regarding the rain. Rather took my focus away from what was going down at the front of the grid, but just the American anthem here. Because here at the American Speed Fest, a lot of them were, shall we say, very American-minded people. Lots of cowboy hats. An unconventional number of cowboy hats for Western Kent. It's not Western Texas, but they all have a great time here at the American Speed Fest. 6 minutes until the Strom Watchers countdown to command ticks down. As you can see, the cheerleader crew who were willing on Thomas Chrysonis earlier on, they will be doing a performance in the next few minutes if they can find the space amongst all of these fans.
All international teams.
Vittorio Gorelli at the in the gloves at the moment, getting his gloves on there. Sorry, I just had a little bit of interference in my headphones there for a moment. But Gorelli, of course, in the number 24, getting himself in that zone. He wasn't the driver in the car when the major incident happened yesterday. Andre, to you.
I think that was it. We had some heavy raindrops a few minutes ago, but at the moment it's getting lighter and lighter. And when I take a look at the sky at the moment, I see even a little bit more blue there. It was just one cell, one black cloud, and it doesn't seem like there's much coming up. So at the moment it seems like the asphalt is a little bit more slippery than usual when I use my feet, but in general I think we are good to go with slicks.
Interesting stuff. Thanks for that, Andre. Now, of course, we've had wet weather, or we've had some rain, I should say. We've had oil down on the surface over the course of the previous race, which didn't reach completion due to a red flag. That's a recipe for an interesting motor race, at the very least. And drivers are really going to have to be focused and on their toes here as we get underway. So then, 4.5 minutes until the command is given. The fans are still making their exodus back to the grandstand. They're going to have to get a scoot on because once the countdown to command is given, typically we're not far away from going racing and the cars rolling. So the countdown to command is, of course, the moment where we get the most famous words in motorsport when we hear from our Grand Marshal and the engines fire into life these incredible V8 powered Euro NASCAR machines. It's always interesting to hear from drivers who have competed in the NASCAR divisions in the United States, because these are, as Ryan Vargas called them, symmetrical cars. They're primarily designed for road courses, despite being stock cars. They are really geared to road courses. Good on an oval as well, but we are typically going right and left, so it is a bit of a different flavour, and certainly It's a discipline all of its own, Euro NASCAR. Coming from the world of road courses doesn't guarantee success in Euro NASCAR. Coming from the world of US NASCAR does not guarantee success in Euro NASCAR. There is no real leg up for this category. If you come in as a rookie, you come in with a lot to learn, and it's those very few promising drivers that come in and immediately start succeeding, and we definitely have one of them on row 3 of the grid in the form of young Bruno Mulders, who's been turning a lot of heads this year. The Dutchman coming in from the world of karting, making his very first appearance in a car race here in Valencia, or rather here in the NASCAR Euro Series at Valencia just a month or two ago, and has really been setting the series alight since then. Has moved into the Pro division in addition to the Open division now, seemingly for at least the time being, and clearly proving that he has the pace to fight in Pro. Top 5 starting position in Pro in what's only his second ever race in the division. He did race 2 at Vallelunga after Mikael Bleekemolen decided not to race on Sunday, so it was his first ever qualifying in Euro NASCAR Pro, and he immediately chucked it on row 3 alongside Thomas Chrysonis, who's already won a race this season in the division. Of course, your Pro Championship standings at the moment, Paul Giffreau starting well down the order, but he is our championship leader. He's on 145 points. Vittorio Garelli is on 142. On 141, it is Thomas Chrysonis. So 4 points between the top 3. Erkeli, Bleekemolen and Garrett Lowe, your top 6. And just behind him is Liam Hazemans. Hazemans is 7th in the standings at the moment, and with that second row starting position, this could be a golden opportunity for him to move further up in the classification. So Paul Giffreau starting from 11th on the grid. That's a really interesting situation there for RDV competition there. Rather working from behind after losing a lot of practice time to an engine failure on Friday. So they've got a new engine in the car, but they've had to do a lot of work and they had to miss a lot of practice time yesterday. Countdown to command is just on 30 seconds away, and Craig Ingham of Lincoln Electric is our Grand Marshal for this race. He's a guest of Lincoln Electric, and he's going to say the most famous words in motorsport right now.
Able to do, and I think it's time for you to say those immortal words.
Drivers, start your engines.
So then, the famous words have been uttered, the engines have been fired into life, and the fans have, right on cue, vacated the circuit. We are ready for racing.
And Thomas Chrysonis alongside 72 and 13 on row number 3. Row 4 is Sebastian Bleekemolen and Fabrizio Armetta, 69 and 55. It is Claudio Remigio alongside Thomas Toffel on row 5 and 34. Then it's Paul Giffreau.
So then the grid of 22 cars will soon roll here, and it will be 38 laps of racing. And that should be more than enough time for a really compelling race to unfold here. As a reminder, because of Brands Hatch's reputation, particularly in touring car racing, if we have a safety car, the laps we lose under safety car can be added to the race distance, and there is the overtime format as well. If we have a late delay in the race, then there will be a 2-lap overtime to consider as well, so long as we are within the time constraints. So then, it is a interesting front rower. Lumitech racing with what I believe to be their first pole position in the NASCAR Euro Series. That Canadian team arriving this year in the NASCAR Euro Series. Alongside on row 1 of the grid, Vittorio Garelli in that hastily repaired number 24 car, the Chevrolet Camaro from PK Car Sports. What can he do from the outside lane? Liam Hazelman's third on the grid, the reigning king of Brands Hatch, with a score to settle and a point to prove, yet to visit victory lane this season. In 4th place on the outside of that second row of the grid, it will be Jack Davidson, who a lot of the home fans will be pulling for. That distinctive pink machine for a man who certainly lives out loud and will be very, very popular here among the local fans. The Scotsman will be looking to fly here from row 2 of the grid. You can see the amount of cement dust down around the circuit. It's quite impressive. Ercoli, Garelli, your front row, all Italian row 1. Hasemans and Davidson on row number 2. Row 3 is Bruno Mulders for Team Blake-Molen. He is alongside Thomas Chrysonis. Sebastian Blake-Molen on row 4. He is alongside Fabrizio Armetta in a livery that looks a little bit like Rod Burley's escort for the Brands Hatch locals. Claudio Capelli on row 5 of the field alongside Thomas Toffel. Paul Giaffro on row 6. He's alongside Giorgio Maggi. Behind him is Vladimiros Siotzis in the 64 in 13th. Then it's Julian Reberg in 14th place. David Kajaya in 15th alongside Ulysse Del So, who is racing for Club Motorsport this weekend after dramas and of course a damaged car for Speedhouse last time out at Vallelunga. Garrett Lowe will be a little bit disappointed with 17th on the grid. He's going to have some work to do to finish in the top 10 for a 5th consecutive time in 5 races here. Martin Dubeck alongside in 18th. Jordan Wallace in 19th. Max Lanza alongside him. Max Maserati, another home nation hero, in 21st, and he is alongside Federico Monti at the rear of the pack. Andre, I think an interesting race here in prospect with the likes of Paul Giaffro down there in 11th place, with someone like Bruno Mulders, who's a bit of an unknown X-factor for most of these drivers, in the top 5 on the grid. It feels like this is going to be a race that could go any of many ways. I wouldn't want to put my money down on anyone to win this race right now. Slippery conditions as well, with a little bit of rain and quite a lot of oil down on the circuit. An immense challenge ahead for our drivers.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a really thrilling race with a lot of different outcomes possible. Right now we're going to the side-by-side formation, and we are ready for the start of this round 5 in the NASCAR Euro Series Pro Division. They all lined up. We had a little bit of traffic jam in Duritz, but now everything is set for an amazing first race in the NASCAR Euro Series. We're going to approach the Whelen Engineering start zone when the pace car is pulling away, and then we are ready to get this green flag in the air.
In excess of 9,000 brake horsepower rolls down to the Whelen start zone. Gianmarco Ercoli is on pole position. Alongside him, Vittorio Garelli. We're underway and racing at Brands Hatch, and it looks like a good start from Garelli, but he's going to have the outside line into Paddock Hill Bend. The dust is being kicked up from the oil spray. It's Gianmarco Ercoli that leads it. Garelli is in second position, or is he? Because here comes Jack Davidson. Davidson with a brilliant start. He's around the outside from 4th to 2nd in the early stages. Davidson has picked his way through expertly. They're all searching for grip there on the cement dust. Side by side there is Fabrizio Armetta is making a bid for 4th position, and he gets it. Armetta with a fabulous start in the number 55. Liam Hasemans has dropped down to 6th. Bruno Mulders is there in 7th place behind him. But what a start from Armetta up into 4th. Chrysonis in 5th place. But your top 2, Gianmarco Ercoli and Jack Davidson. I would have gone through several alternative lineups for our top 2 at the end of the first lap before I landed on those 2 names, Andre.
Yeah, definitely. Jack Davidson with a rocket start here in his home race at Brands Hatch. He knows this circus like the back of his hand, and he really utilized from a perfect start, and I think he's even able to now attack John Marco Ercoli. He's going really hard over the curbs there in the Clark curve, and then he's going into clearaways now, and he's trying to follow John Marco Ercoli, and both of them are building a little bit of a gap on Vittorio Ghirelli in third place. Then we have Ameta trying to find a way past the 24 car, but it's Ercoli and Davidson leading this race at the moment with a comfortable lead over Ghirelli right now.
Yeah, great start then from Davidson. He's got the bit between his teeth as this race gets underway. He is, of course, very used to slippery conditions. They get a lot of it up in Knock Hill, and it is a really tricky situation for most of these drivers. We have had that little bit of rainfall, just an iota of rainfall, and it has created a compelling situation for everybody. Some were thinking maybe they'd have to switch to wets. No one has, of course, because it is effectively dry, but the combination of that little bit of precipitation with the oil around the circuit and the cement dust means things are particularly hard for all drivers. You saw Claudio Remigio Capelli there with his rear end stepping out. Meanwhile, Liam Hasemans looks like he might be a little bit under threat here, and maybe even a little under pace as well, with the two Blake Imolan cars running very, very well behind. And it is Bruno Mulders leading the charge for Team Blake Imolan. Hasemans looks like he's struggling right now, not able to keep pace with Chrysonis, and he's going to face pressure from young Bruno Mulders, who is eager to make an impression, something that Liam Hasemans, of course, was doing 3 years ago in his first season in car racing, looking to make that stamp on the Euro NASCAR scene. And now it's the other way around. Hasemans is the experienced driver with a reputation in this series, and Bruno Mulders is looking to make his name.
Garrett Lowe lost some positions during the start of the race. He's now in 20th position, trying to catch up to catch the rest of the field. But at the front, we have now Ercoli pulling a little bit away from Jack Davidson, and he gets more under pressure by Vittorio Ghirelli. Ameta now under threat of Thomas Chrysonis, and then it's still Hasemans leading ahead of Bruno Mulders and Sebastian Blake Imolan. But it's a really, really good start. And Adam, I checked some lap times before the race because, of course, we want to compare a little bit what's happening here at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. Those cars, those stock cars that we have right here, they are just slightly slower than the BTCC here at Brands Hatch. There you have a little bit of a comparison how fast those cars are here at the Indy Circuit.
Yeah, really interesting stuff, isn't it? Two wildly different cars. The Euro NASCAR machines up against the NGTC spec British touring car machines. They make their speed, they make their performance in different ways, but that performance has really taken a step up this season. And that's in part thanks to that 5-speed sequential gearbox that most of these cars are now running in the NASCAR Euro Series. Quite a step up from the H pattern, of course. And look at this, we've got two battles kicking off here. Our Meta is coming under pressure from Chrysonis, but ahead of them it is Jack Davidson now falling back from Gianmarco Ercoli, and Vittorio Ghirelli is now trying to get his second place back. He'll have been surprised, I think, by Jack Davidson leaping forth into second place in the early stages of the race. We heard the confidence yesterday from Jack Davidson. Yes, of course, they all ham it up a little bit for our pre-records and our fun and games with the crowns and the King of Brands Hatch, but he said with total sincerity, you are looking at the new King of Brands Hatch. You don't need to look for him. He's right in front of you, and he firmly believes that. If there's any circuit where Jack Davidson is going to to have his best outings to match the very best in Euro NASCAR. It's going to be a circuit where he has raced numerous times before coming into the Euro NASCAR world, and the only circuit as of now at least where he has a race victory in the series, and he's right up there in amongst it in the pro division. But right now he's looking a little bit like a cork in the bottle, because now it's Davidson with Gorelli, Armetta, Chrysonis and Hazemans all right behind him. The balance of the race is shifting at the moment, and it's not shifting in favour of Davidson or Paul Giffreau. Giffreau has a problem. The car is looking a little bit mangled as well. I think that might have actually been from qualifying, the actual panel rub on that car, but all the same, the car slowing down and stopping at Druids only to carry on is not a good sign in the slightest.
Yeah, he's still very slow on track. I guess he's going to come to the pits. There may be a problem. Remember, there was an engine change after an engine failure in free practice. Then he got a penalty after qualifying for this little nudge he had with Garrett Lowe, and he's heading towards the pits. So Paul Giffreau in trouble here at the Brands Hatch circuit. This will be one of his worst results of the 2025 season. Remember, in the regular season you are allowed to drop your worst result, so he can afford one mistake. But the 3 car in the pit lane, and up front we still have the battle between Davidson and Girelli for second place, and one guy is taking advantage from that, and this is Gianmarco Ercoli. He opened a comfortable gap right now, and he's leading the race in the 11 Alumitech Racing Ford Mustang. He's coming now over the line, and Davidson trying everything to defend from Girelli. He's fending off all the attacks right now, but Davidson has a lot of work to do to secure this second place.
Apologies, my mic was muted. I was in full flow and getting very excited. Sorry. It does happen sometimes. But yes, we saw Giffreau in the pits. Giffreau has a technical issue, as we saw on the circuit. That's a huge shame for our championship leader. He is likely going no further. Here comes Chrysonis to the inside of Fabrizio Armetta. It's a little look to the inside. He couldn't quite make it work on this occasion, but he's still got a good run up towards Druids Hill, and the same applies to Vittorio Gorelli. Any position in this top 5, apart from the lead that is, could shift at any moment here with how close together they are. Liam Hazemans pressuring Chrysonis as well. Ercoli is 2.8 seconds clear at the front of the field. He is fairly self-assured there at the front right now as they head towards the beginning of lap 12 of the race. But Jack Davidson is in a hot seat. Never mind that, he's sitting in a frying pan, because Vittorio Gorelli is right on his rear tail lights at the moment. And as same applies to Fabrizio Armetta, he's got to the dizzying heights of 4th place, but now he's finding out just how hard it is to keep race pace here at the sharp end of the field. Here comes Gorelli. He's got the inside line into Druids. He's managed to find a car's width, but he's not able to get past Davidson. Davidson, they're taking the high line, the wide line around the corner, making it work, getting a good run out of the corner. What a drive from Davidson there to hold on.
Yeah, what an amazing race, what an amazing battle there for second place. But Davidson, he's making his Chevy Camaro as wide as possible. And the good thing is, at the moment, he's not making any mistakes. He let Girelli, he kept the inside open there, but he knows the next one is a left-hander, and therefore he just positioned himself as that good that Girelli couldn't make the move stick. But everything plays in the hands of Gianmarco Ercoli. He's now in Druids and still leading this race, and the margin is getting bigger and bigger and bigger for the Alumitech Racing driver in the 11 car. And Davidson, he's fighting the battle of his life in the pro division. Last year he was the winner in Open. It was the maiden win, the first Briton to win a race in Euro NASCAR, and it was his home race, and at the moment he's fighting for a brilliant podium position, but he's under threat, he's under pressure by the reigning champion, by Vittorio Ghirelli. He's trying everything, the Italian in the 24 car. And we have the reigning King of Brands Hatch in the 30 car in the Retty Jones Racing Ford Mustang. Liam Hazemans trying to battle his way past Thomas Krasonis, but also the Greek knows exactly how to defend here in Brands Hatch. He had a shot to win a race last year in Open, Thomas Krasonis, but then he got together with Martin Dubek, battling for the lead, and he said he learned from the mistakes he made there, and right now he has a really decent position and even able maybe to fight for fourth position with Fabrizio Ametta. Adam, this race is just amazing in my opinion.
Yeah, this is brilliant stuff to watch. You can see the chess game going on in front of us here between Davidson and Ghirelli. Paul Giffreau is back out on the circuit, which is good to see for him, but it is an exercise to try and get a good position on the starting grid for tomorrow. Ghirelli has the inside line. Davidson now under threat as they go into Paddock Hill Bend. He's going to try and cut back to the inside for the run towards Druids, but Ghirelli is comfortably through as they head back up the hill towards Druids. He goes defensive, of course, but Ghirelli has set it up perfectly, made it work with a great run there out of Clark Curve down the Brabham Straight, and he is now in second place in the race. The next question is, can Davidson fight back, and does Ghirelli have the pace and the desire to take life out of the tyres, of course, to now try and hunt down Gianmarco Ercoli? The gap is 4.8 seconds. The reason I mentioned the tyre life is because these tyres have to do 38 more laps in tomorrow's NASCAR Euro NASCAR Pro race. So Ghirelli does have to consider that. Let's see how his pace matches up now. Both 49.4s last time by, but of course that was the lap where Vittorio Ghirelli finally made the overtake. So let's see how the next couple of laps play out between himself and Gianmarco Ercoli. Has the dam now broken for Jack Davidson? He was heading a train, rather apropos for a man you could call the Flying Scotsman, but can he hold on now to a podium? He's got Armetta and Chrysonis right there behind him, and of course for Jack Davidson here, he is also leading the junior standing at the moment, with Chrysonis 5th, second in the juniors, so that's worth considering as well. The junior trophy points will be on Jack Davidson's mind, but so will the fact that he's 19th in the standings coming into this weekend. He hasn't had a great season so far in Euro NASCAR Pro, so if he can stand on the podium here today, that's a huge relaunch point for the rest of his year.
Yeah, exactly. I think that right now it's all about defending this maiden podium in the Pro Division. It would be an amazing result for the Lux Motorsport crew. It's not only that Davidson is only in his third season in the NASCAR Euro Series, it's only the second season for Lux Motorsport, and they already proved that they have what it takes to compete with the best drivers here. And right now he's opening a gap on Ametta, who's defending against Thomas Krasonis, and then we have Liam Hazemans in the yellow 30 car still trying to battle him inside of a possible spot on the podium. And also catching up are the two Team Blekemolen cars. We see Bruno Mulders and Sebastian Blekemolen getting closer and closer to this big group of cars. They were far behind a few laps ago, but now they closed in and they joined the battle.
Yeah, absolutely right. Team Blekemolen would love to get at least one top 5 out of this race. And Sebastian Blekemolen, who leads the two now, he's got past Bruno Mulders. I think part of him would like it to be his protege. It's side by side between Armetta and Chrysonis, and Armetta holds on by the skin of his teeth, and Liam Hazeman sees the opportunity. Chrysonis goes from attacking to losing out, and it is 5th place for Liam Hazeman. Can he now challenge Armetta as they battle it out? This is a great chance, of course, for Davidson, because while they're fighting, he can drive away. He can focus on learning the lines and picking up some tips from Vittorio Ghirelli just ahead of him. Hazeman's now trying to defend from Chrysonis. He's trying to fight back. Blekemolen and Mulders, the Team Blekemolen battalion, are right there behind them as we fight on the hills of West Kingsdown, Kent here for the King of Brands Hatch, and it is the King, Liam Hazeman's, in amongst the battles. Unfortunately, Thomas Toffel has fallen afoul here. Looks like he's got some damage there to the right rear of that car. So maybe there's been a bit of a collision, maybe it's just a technical problem, we're not sure. All the same, Hazeman's just about holding on to Cresonis for now. The gap between the top two, the two Italians, is 3.9 seconds. I was going to say that it looked about equal between the two, but Girelli has just started pumping in laps. A 49.1 versus a 49.7 for Ercole last time by. Girelli is hunting. He's got 20 laps to try and make it work, 18 laps actually to try and make it work, and if anyone can hunt down the 2023 champion, it's the 2024 champion.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like that Vittorio Girelli is a little bit faster right now, but their strategy comes into play. Do you really want to stress those tires that much to maybe have a shot of battling with Ercole for the win, or do you take the 35 points for second place, maybe clock a fast lap that would secure you a good starting position for tomorrow's race that is based on the best laps of this race at the moment? So Sunday will also be a very important factor, and you need some tire life. You need some rubber on those Hoosier tires also for Sunday. But I'm just observing right now with my eyes, and I think that Girelli is getting closer and closer, and it's still 17 laps to go. So a lot of time for Girelli to make up ground on Gianmarco Ercole. But Adam, maybe Ercole is just managing at the moment, because he had not a single lap under threat at the moment. He had no pressure at all. Maybe there's a little bit more in the car or in Ercole to fire up again when he needs to.
Yeah, there certainly is about half a second, 3/4 of a second off his absolute best at the moment, Gianmarco Ercole, so he's definitely managing the race for now. It's worth noting that Paul Geoffroy has come back into the pits having set a 49.036. If everyone's times, best laps of the race stay the same, that will actually give him the front row for Sunday here at the American Speed Fest, and the man alongside him would be our current fastest lap holder, Liam Hazeman's, who'd grab pole position, so long as no one beats that 49.020, which is the fastest lap of the race. It's an interesting situation. This race in some ways is a qualifying session for Sunday, with the fastest laps being taken into account for the grid. Looks like there was some good battling going on there with Hazeman's. Julian Reberg is having a fight here with Vladimiros Siortsis. This is Reberg trying to hold on to the top 10 at the expense of the Cypriot and Martin Dubek, who's moving up. He's gained 6 spots already in this race, having started from 18th. And of course, the driver that makes up the most places gains an additional cache of points, 5 points for most overtakes in the race. And that is critical as well. Dubek will be looking to secure that. There's your gap between Ercole and Girelli, still around 3 seconds, but still dropping. Davidson has just under a second over Armetta in 4th position, and Fabrizio Armetta, I'm not sure if he's looked through the windscreen at any point in the last 5 laps. He's got Hazeman's, Cresonis, Blakemole and Mulders all there right on his back. High pressure scenario for the driver of the 55 for sure.
Yeah, definitely, and I want to give you some stories that we had off a screen. Giorgio Maggi, who had a lot of bad luck so far this season, is for the first time battling for a spot in the top 10. He's 9th at the moment, ahead of Julian Reberg, Zorzis and Dubek. And then we have Capelli only in 13th position. He was inside of the top 10 for a long time, but then he made a little mistake and had to get several drivers overtaking him. So at the moment he's trailing Martin Dubek in a 4 group. It's a 4-car group with Reberg, Zorzis, Dubek and then Capelli. But Maggi in 9th place in the 33 of Speedhouse, maybe on the way of his first top 10 result. Federico Monti is getting lapped right now, even from the Team Blakemole cars. Here we have this group battling for 4th place. Armetta, Hazeman's, Cresonis, Blakemole and Mulders. And I think the positions are still not secured there.
They're not, and more importantly for the race's finishing order, Fabrizio Armetta has just received a 10-second penalty for track limits. The track limits here at Brands Hatch are intensely monitored. There are pressure sensors coming out of some of these corners so they can regulate and indeed penalise track limit offenders, repeated track limit offenders, and Armetta has a 10-second penalty against his name now. That would drop him outside of the top 10. That is huge news for Armetta, and bad news for him and the Club Motorsport, who were really having a great race to that point. Hasemans then has interestingly kind of fallen off the back of Armetta. Maybe Armetta's trying to do some damage control here and get himself a gap, if not over those 4 cars directly behind him, the likes of Maggi, Reberg, Siortzis behind, to try and minimise the effect. We've seen a few warnings for track limits coming through as well. One of them is for Liam Hasemans. That's just come through on our screens now. So a few front runners getting slaps on the wrist, getting warnings, and they've got to be careful because the track limits, the pressure pads, the pressure sensors here around the circuit, unfortunately, they don't lie.
Yeah, definitely. And I have a little bit of a deja vu right now because remember, Adam, we had a race, I think it was last year, when Fabrizio Armetta was also fighting for a top 5, and then he was involved in different incidents and he got penalized a lot, and he was really aggressive out there. And this time it's not his driving style, this time it's the track limit. So he's always really fast at Brands Hatch, but somehow he couldn't get the race together to lock in this really good result he should deserve with the racecraft he has, the 55 car. Now battling maybe for a top 10 spot after we add those 10 seconds. But this is good news also for Jack Davidson, who's still on his way to score a podium in Pro. Here we have Gianmarco Ercoli. I think he kicked off a little bit of dust there in Paddock Hill Bend. He's coming really smooth towards Duritz, but the gap on Ghirelli is only 3 seconds now, so Ghirelli was able to get 1 second away, but I think Ercoli is now in management mode. He's able to manage the pace of Ghirelli and keep the gap around 3 seconds.
Yeah, heartily agree on that front. It is one of the faster times on the fastest personal best race laps that Gianmarco Ercoli has. A 49.074 early in the race was his best. And that means that he, as it stands, would start on the second row of the grid on Sunday as well. So he has no need to push the tyres any further than he needs to. He's done what he needs to do for Sunday. He's doing what he needs to do at the moment for Saturday. Another quarter of a second taken out of Ercoli by Ghirelli on that lap. Ghirelli is certainly giving it as much as he can with the tyres consideration underneath him, needing to carry those tyres over into Sunday's race here at Brands Hatch. And Julian Reberg is still 10th place, but he's got Siortzis, Dubek and Capelli, 3 drivers who know their way around these Euro NASCARs immensely well, 3 drivers who I wouldn't want to go wheel to wheel with necessarily for a top 10. And Reberg, the youngster in just his second season, is doing a great job of holding off all 3 at the same time. The number 89 car has a penalty for track limits, 10 seconds. That's Max Maserati all the way down in 17th. And I must say, Garrett Lowe behind him, 18th position, has not had the race that I was expecting. I thought that much like Dubek, who has moved up from 18th to 12th, we would see Garrett Lowe start to knock on the door for top 10, but it's just not coming together, unfortunately, in this race for the BS Plus competition-backed promotion car. Instead, it is the number 77 that is the leading promotion machine this time around, and Julian Reberg trying to secure a top 10 for the team here at Brands Hatch. Just to give you an idea of the situation at the front, I think Ghirelli has maybe slipped into management mode as well. He's only lapping a couple of tenths quicker at this point than Gianmarco Ercoli, a 49.5 last time by. The gap stabilising around 2.5 seconds for the time being. No stabilisation, unfortunately, for Liam Hasemans, because Chrysonis is hunting him down for what will be 4th place, of course, once Armetta has his penalty applied. So they're fighting for 5th on the road, potentially 4th. fourth. Jack Davidson's coming under pressure from Armetta, of course, and he may not know about the penalty hanging over the head of the Italian behind him, so that could be a little bit feisty. Chrysonis has the inside line going into Surtees, can't quite make it work there. Coming around Clark Curve now, the laps are ticking down. We're about to start lap 32 of the race of 38, and it is quite the battle going on here between Chrysonis and Hazemans. Hazemans is starting to drive through the mirrors. He's fallen off the back of Armetta, and now Chrysonis wants to try and claim his top 5. Of course, with Paul Giffreau out of consideration here, there's potential to score a lot of points for Thomas Chrysonis, who is fighting for not just the Open Division Championship, but the Pro as well. They're still side by side as they come down towards Graham Hill Bend, and Hazemans is holding on for now, but that number 13 car is looking very large in the mirrors of Hazemans. Capelli has had a track limits penalty as well. That's another car gaining penalties, and it's becoming a 4-car scrap here for 5th place, a net 4th with Armetta's penalty, because here come the Blake and Molan boys again.
Wow, what an amazing battle between Hazemans and Chrysonis. Chrysonis is maybe trying it again here in Paddock Hill Bend, but no chance to dive to the inside. So the next opportunity would be Druids. But Adam, you know, it's the time for me to go to victory lane. It's under 5 laps, and you know that the Brands Hatch circuit is a very short track. Therefore, I need some time to go to victory lane, and then I will welcome the race winner. See you later and have fun with those last laps here in Brands Hatch.
Thank you very much, Andre. Great atmosphere in victory lane here. It's situated in front of the Kentagon on Colin Chapman Way, right in amongst the fans. We saw some gravel being kicked up down at the first corner. Hopefully there's not a car in the Paddock Hill Bend gravel at the moment. Here comes Chrysonis then, looming large on Liam Hazemans at the moment, as the wind is still kicking up here around the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. Confirmation that it was just some dust being kicked up. No car there in the gravel, but full course yellow is out. Full course yellow in the very late stages of the race, and that could change things. Full course yellows sometimes lead to safety cars, and if we get a late safety car, it could be an overtime situation. Why is there a full course yellow? That's the big question right now. There is a car in the gravel. I did think from the far shot at Surtees that I saw something up against the wall, and it is Claudio Remeggio Capelli, who has ended up in the gravel trap just shortly after a 10-second penalty was applied to him for track limits. Speaking of penalties, another 10 seconds has been applied to Max Maserati. They've now got 20 seconds worth of penalties, unfortunately, in the number 89. But a twist in the tail here. Full course yellow. And I wouldn't mind betting that we want to end this one with a bang under green. We may well see the overtime button used here. We're on lap 35 of the race. The intention with the NASCAR Euro Series, of course, being a fan-forward experience at all levels, is to make sure we get a green flag finish where possible. For Gianmarco Ercoli, that would be horrible news. And I must say, Ercoli, I think, was a bit late to the full course yellow, because he did a 1 minute 22 last time by. Gurelli did a 1 minute 35, and the gap is now 15 seconds. I don't think Gianmarco Ercoli got the full course yellow memo at the same time as everybody else, because that gap has quite obviously extended. But now everyone is looking to race control. What's your next move? Virtual safety car is the next move. So a virtual safety car here in the NASCAR Euro Series means the gaps will be closed. Everyone will effectively join a snake together. Gianmarco Ercoli being told to respect the instructions here and get the race controlled under virtual safety car. There's Claudio Remeggio Capelli's car being extracted away here by the tractor. Not the end to the race that he wanted. And the close the gaps instruction has been abided by our drivers. But look at the situation we have now. Interestingly, for Gianmarco Ercoli, he has that number one of Federico Monti between himself and the rest of the pack. That could be critical for Gianmarco Ercoli, depending on what the next move from race control is. To my understanding of the regulations, under normal circumstances, as we begin two to go this time, it should yield an overtime, but it is dependent on race control discretion, all of these things, so we'll wait and see what the next move is. But of course, a 2-lap overtime is the standard in the NASCAR Euro Series, and that might be what we're about to see. The gaps have been closed. Everyone is together on circuit under virtual safety car conditions. Of course, recovery still going on, so no consideration of a race restart just yet. I am looking at the race control message board just as all of our teams are as well. There's Capelli's car, which has now been left in the gravel. The tractor has moved away. Again, we all wait with bated breath here. We're on lap 37 of 38. What is going to happen next here? What is the situation? Race plus 3 laps to the additional distance is the bulletin that's just come up on my screen. We appear to still be under virtual safety car. We are. So plus 3 laps to the original distance. But will we be going back to green next, or is there another step in the process? 3 laps have been added to the race. And car number 1, that is Federico Monti, is being told to pass Gianmarco Ercoli. So that's a nightmare situation. Oh, Thomas Chrysonis hasn't got the memo. There's been confusion here. Lots and lots of confusion. The race hasn't been declared green yet, per my understanding, and yet we're racing. The green flag bulletin was never given. At least on the feed that I have here, but we are now racing, and it's Ercoli versus Gorelli. The Italians are right together with 2 laps to go, or 4 laps to go now, because we've got a 41-lap race. This is lap 38. It would have been the final lap, but now it is lap 38 of 41. So we're going to have 3 more laps starting this time by. Again, I'm fairly sure there's been some confusion there. We saw Chrysonis going. Clearly, Ercoli and Gorelli had gone as well. But the most recent instruction there was for the number 1 car of Federico Monti to go past the race leader. 3 laps to go, says race control. So it does look like we're going with it, but Ercoli and Gorelli are having a scrap at the front of the field. Then it's Chrysonis in 3rd, Mulders up to 4th place, Armetta in 5th position. So Bruno Mulders has really profited, and he's side by side with Chrysonis. Keep an eye on the back of shot. 3rd place was changing hands there. Bruno Mulders, I think, is through into 3rd place. We can't see it. Liam Hazemans is under pressure as well from the other Blake-Molen car, Sebastian Blake-Molen. And look at the number 33 of Giorgio Maggi. He's in amongst it as well. Chrysonis has been demoted by Bruno Mulders. Bruno Mulders is up to 3rd place. Critically, Jack Davidson appears to be the first of the drivers who has not jump-started that. We again didn't see a confirmation of green flag prior to everyone launching, and Jack Davidson was the first of those that didn't pull the pin. Could that be critical later on? I wonder. It's the penultimate lap of the motor race, and it is Gianmarco Ercoli who leads the way from Vittorio Garelli by 0.6 of a second. That's a decent little advantage to hold over a circuit like Brands Hatch, where it is difficult sometimes to overtake. Fabrizio Armetta is 5th overall, but he has a track limits penalty hanging over his head. Chrysonis has dropped down to 6th position now on the road. Davidson, therefore, is up to 5th place, and it looks like Chrysonis is really struggling, because here comes Hazemans to his inside. Here comes Sebastian Blakemolen as well. Thomas Chrysonis' car is looking very wayward indeed. Giorgio Maggi and Julian Reberg may well profit as well, but at the front of the order, it is the Illumitech Racing number 11 Ford Mustang that leads the way. The PK Carsport Chevrolet Camaro, the number 24 of Vittorio Garelli, waits in the wings in 2nd place, but it is Gianmarco Ercoli on the top step at Brands Hatch. He loves this place, and he is a winner in the NASCAR Euro Series with the 11. Garelli takes 2nd. Mulders with a podium in Euro NASCAR Pro. That's a huge turn of events for the number 72, and it looked like Chrysonis' engine may have been letting go there as he came across the line. He came across the line in only 15th position. That's a disaster for the championship contender. Both Giuffreau and Chrysonis have had horrible races. They were running in the championship top 4, and the other two in that championship top 4, well, they finished 1-2. Gianmarco Ercoli, who was 19 points back. As we see, it was a puncture for Chrysonis. Oh, that's hugely unfortunate for him, but nonetheless, he dropped way back. Ercoli 4th in the standings and 19 back. He'll have closed the gap down, but Vittorio Garelli will now be our championship leader. He was 3 back from Paul Giuffreau coming into this race, and a 2nd place finish will have elevated him to the championship lead. And remember that 24 hours ago, that car was quite literally a bag of bits. You wouldn't have bought it as a project on Facebook Marketplace, and 24 hours later, it's a podium finisher in Euro NASCAR. Gianmarco Ercoli wins it from Vittorio Garelli. Bruno Mulders in 3rd position. Jack Davidson in 4th place. Liam Hazemans in 5th. In 6th position, it was Sebastian Blakemolen. Giorgio Maggi in 7th. Julian Reberg in 8th place. Vladimiros Tsiortsis in 9th. And Martin Dubek inheriting 10th, with some of those penalties that were going on for the likes of Fabrizio Armetta. And I will say, all of this might be a little bit provisional. There are different race control feeds. There's an audio feed that all of the teams get. There's a text feed that is also distributed out to everybody, including us and the media team. And certainly the text feed never declared green flag. Did the audio feed declare green flag? That's the big question. One way or another, not everybody got the memo that we were racing again, certainly, and that could cause a headache for race control, for the race directors, for the stewards. Certainly some teams are going to have questions. But what we do know for sure is that Gianmarco Ercoli's number 11 car is the one currently heading to victory lane. Ercoli, who will be celebrating his first victory of the season here. The Italian racer had his best runs of the season at Vallelunga on home turf, and it's only gotten better here at Brands Hatch. Outside of the top 10, David Kajaya finished in 11th place. Del So was 12th. Garrett Lowe moved up to 13th eventually, so he managed to salvage some places late on. Max Lanza 14th. Thomas Chrysonis 15th. With that puncture late on, Fabrizio Armeta's penalties dropped him to 16th. Maserati in 17th. Wallace in 18th. Monty retired from the race towards the end there. Capelli, Tuffel and Dufro, your finishing order, although of course we didn't see Capelli, Tuffel or Dufro reach the flag, but reaching his roof and reaching a point of celebration is Gianmarco Ercoli here in Victory Lane. The Illumitech team, which of course is personnelled by Gianmarco Ercoli's long-time team at Cal Racing, they are celebrating. They will be thrilled with a victory for the first time this year, for the first time as Illumitech Racing. The Canadian squad has victory numero uno in the NASCAR Euro Series. Interesting little bulletin that went out towards the end of the race. Restart under investigation. So that return to racing action is being investigated. Rather unsurprisingly, just because of how messy it was. They've got to look into the hows, whys and whats of what happened there. Meanwhile, we saw there Andre Viegold getting ready. We'll pop down to him as soon as he catches Gianmarco Ercoli, who's down there among the fans. One of the best podiums that we have all season, not just because of the number of people here at Brands Hatch this weekend, but because we drive right in amongst them for Victory Lane to celebrate shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, our race winner. And Gianmarco Ercoli has a finger on the King of Brands Hatch crown, Andre.
Yeah, thank you so much. At the beginning it looked like an easy win. You pulled away, nobody following you, but then we had the late virtual safety car, everybody bunching up again. How stressful was those the last lap?
No, here is always in this mode. So when I arrive to the 32 laps, I think so. This group is really good today. One corner and immediately another accident, and it's really good. I'm happy for the car, for the job. It's the first win of the Illumitech Racing and Car Racing, and congrats to the team for the job. I'm too happy. It's an incredible race. In this track, you can't have one moment of relax.
What about your championship hopes? A win is very important to get closer to the leading guys. Do you think there's still a shot to win the championship this year, to get your second title?
Yeah, I think in this moment we can change the way of the championship. I'm sure before this race, because in Valencia and in Vallelunga we battle with a little mistake, can't show our potential. But today we can change the line, we can change the rules, and come on.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations, Gianmarco Ercoli, your winner in Euro NASCAR Pro.
And I feel like we're seeing Ercoli re-emerge here. It wasn't a strong 2024 by his illustrious standards. In 2022 he fought for the championship. In 2023 he won the championship. Yes, he was there towards the end of the season in 2024, but a lot of the time it didn't look like the car was underneath him. It looked like the car and he were fighting each other to the flag rather than working together to get there first. And it just looks like somewhere around the Vallelunga round they just unlocked something, and it's now turning into race victories. Illumitech Racing, with Cal Racing's backing, claiming a first win here in the NASCAR Euro Series. The pictures will be taken, the celebrations will kick off, and of course Valentino Gambarotto will be driving that car later on. He'll be rubbing his hands with glee. Of course, if you're the driver racing in Open in a couple of hours time and your car's in Victory Lane, yes, there's a measure of pressure to do the same thing because you know the car can win a race, but it's also a good sign that you have a race winning car underneath you. As you can see, the fans are celebrating with everybody. We'll be down there on the podium soon, but we can go now back down to Andre.
Yeah, thank you so much. At the beginning, in the grid walk, we had Caniori Jr., the team boss, like Gianmarco Ercoli said. Now we have Luca Caniori, the real team boss. How happy are you?
Yes, we are very, very happy. We love this track. This is our 11th victory in this track. So we are very, very happy to come back.
Any secrets you can share why you are so strong here?
No, we are, I don't know, probably because Brands Hatch is very similar to our testing track. So we are from 10 years, we are very, very fast every year, race by race, with a lot of drivers, a lot of cars. So we really enjoy this weekend every time.
All right, grazie mille, thank you so much. Congratulations, Luca Caniori. Back to you, Adam.
I think it was Junior that engineered that car to victory, personally, Andre, but we'll give Dad the credit. Excellent stuff from our winners. As the chrome Illumitec car sits in victory lane, certainly on a sunny day, and I imagine that's a little bit glinty for the drivers around it, as well as Gianmarco in the car, but no such issues in these rather cloudy conditions that we have today. Hello to the fans down there celebrating. I'm sure for many this isn't their first Speed Fest. For some it might even be their 12th American Speed Fest. This series has been so popular here at Brands Hatch. The first time we ran here in 2012, we were actually sharing the bill with DTM, but very quickly the event gained its own headline act at the American Speed Fest, and the NASCAR Euro Series has been a staple of the Brands Hatch summer diet now for a dozen years, and it has been very fun to watch. So then the results, if you're just joining us, Ercoli winning from Garelli from Bruno Mulders, who will be one to talk to, I'm sure. Bruno Mulders in just his third meeting as a race car driver, in his first proper day in Euro-NASCAR Pro after inheriting the car for day 2 at Vallelunga. A podium that is incredibly impressive from the number 72 Team Blake Amolan driver. There is that question mark hanging overhead regarding that last restart, which is being investigated, but right now the podium as we know it is what we saw on the road with Ercoli, Garelli and Mulders. Of course, the drivers are now making their way towards victory lane, the other drivers. The reason it takes a little while is because they all park up on the opposite side of the circuit, so they've got some work to do to get to the fan zone where the victory lane will take place. Lots of stars and cars out this weekend. I saw Lightning McQueen getting out of his hauler yesterday. That film's 20 years old this year. That's scary, Andre.
Okay, I think we can start. It's a little bit loud right now here, but Max Lanza, second place in the Challenger Trophy. Late restart, but a really good race with a lot of nice battles. How was it for you?
Yeah, it was a very, very fun race. I start from P20 and I had a good comeback. So I'm happy of my pace. I have very, very good pace, and the car was very good. My team made a fantastic job. So I'm happy. I think I had a good lap time for tomorrow. So good. Second place is good, but I am focused for the victory.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations, Max Lanza. Back to you, Adam.
Max Lanza, always one of the quicker drivers actually to get towards victory lane. Something tells me he might like a celebration or two. Just a hunch. But he will be on that podium in the Challenger Trophy division. Second place to David Kajaya in that one. Jordan Wallace with third in Challenger Trophy on his debut. The several-time Pro-Am podium finisher in last year's Porsche Carrera Cup North America, who's certainly taking a different path for his 2025 racing. And great to see him working the car out. I think there's a lot more pace to come from Jordan as he learns the ropes of the NASCAR Euro Series. The cheerleaders are putting on a show then. The fans are waiting for the podium ceremonies to begin to welcome Gianmarco Ercoli to that top step. I think some will be disappointed that Jack Davidson lost out on that podium towards the end. That will be a bit of a shame for him. But Bruno Mulders, I think, just an incredible story that he is there now, set for third place on the podium in his first proper day of Euro NASCAR Pro. I say that because he started from the rear on Sunday at Vallelunga. He didn't get the chance to qualify the car because, of course, he wasn't in it on Saturday. So this is his first real shot at Euro NASCAR Pro in an uncompromised position, and how wonderful he's doing. Let's go down to Liam Hazemans.
We have a change in classification, so we have to check. But we have Liam Hazemans first of all here. There was a race-long battle with you, all around, back, defending, attacking, defending, attacking. How was it?
Yeah, no, it was fun. I mean, also the car, I think, was very good because tomorrow we start on pole. Just at the end, I don't know what happened, to be very honest. I think it was a bit of a miscommunication between everyone because, well, it was not clear at all. But yeah, I mean, the car felt very good. Just at the end, I think too high pressure or what it was, because at the end I struggled a lot. But yeah, it was more for me at the end. I didn't understand what happened because a few guys went full throttle, overcrossed everyone. Then there was another part. I mean, there was a lapped car, which normally should go away, but drove in the middle of the track. So it was all misconfusion. But yeah, I mean, at least happy with the fastest lap for tomorrow. But yeah, just today a bit of shame.
All right, thank you so much. Liam Hazemans, back to you, Adam.
Thank you very much, Andre. You see David Kajaya there. He's made his way across the circuit to join us for the ceremonies. And Vittorio Garelli, I think, is going to be our next subject for a conversation. And certainly at the end there, he had a whiff of a victory, couldn't get it done, but Garelli will move into the championship lead based on this race result. So Vittorio Garelli, I'm sure, will be happy, Andre.
Yeah, Vittorio Garelli, you had to get second place, then you were catching on to Gianmarco Ercoli, then you had the virtual safety car at the end. You had a shot to win the race, but did you play the long game and take a look a little bit on your tires for tomorrow?
Yeah, it was a very tough race. I mean, the start was good, but then the 21 did a good start in the outside, and I was blocked behind him for the first 10-15 laps. Then I managed to pass, and the 11 was way too far away. And I also didn't manage to do a good lap time because, you know, the fresh tire was already gone. So I was pushing, I was catching, but yeah, it was a bit messy in the restart. There was a lapped car in the middle, so I wasn't really, you know, in his bumper. But then we started again, and I managed to, you know, stay close. The fronts were a bit cold, so I had a very big moment, and I said, okay, P2 is good. I was trying always to get him, but I mean, he was very fast, so he deserved the win. But I mean, these guys, yesterday we didn't know even if we were supposed to race, you know, so really happy. I think I'm leading the championship now, so I mean, so happy. This is for them, for PK Car Sport.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations, Vittorio Garelli. Back to you, Adam.
Yeah, he's quite right. It will be the championship lead. That man, Vittorio Garelli. There's Bruno Mulders, the youngster, with a podium now under his belt. What a turn of events for the team Blake-Molen youngster, though. Sebastian Blake-Molen spoke about it on the grid, the incredible performances of Bruno Mulders, and we're now seeing the investment from the team pay dividends, Andre.
Yeah. So we learned that there's a penalty, but still, you had an amazing race, amazing pace, and you were so close getting to those podium, but still you must be happy with the performance, right?
Yeah, I'm really happy with just the race, the laps we made, all the kilometers. A lot of things learned from this race as well, and just positive learning experience in general.
How was the race for you in general? With the pack battling, we saw you and Sebastian all the time together. You lost a little bit on ground, then you caught up again to the group. What was the race trim there for you?
Yeah, for me, I was just struggling a bit in the beginning with the tires, and then after it started to find its way, and then the pace started getting better and better, and I could close the gap. Unfortunately, not able to attack at that point, but no, just the pace is really good, and we'll see what we can do in the open race then after.
All right, thank you so much, Bruno Mulders. Back to you, Adam.
There we go, Bruno Mulders. Penalty there. I mean, I haven't had any confirmation of anything to that end as of yet, but clearly Andre has some information that I might not have at the moment. We'll have to see what's going on there. For now, it is the number 11 Lumitec car, the pride and place position there for him in victory lane. And all the drivers now funneling their way across to us so we can also speak to David Kajaya.
Thank you so much, Adam. David, how was your race?
Yeah, I didn't expect podium, honestly, because we had a lot of problem in practices, in quali as well, and I didn't expect really podium, but I'm happy now I'm here. The circuit is really challenging. You need a lot of muscles to drive here 45 minutes, but at the end everything was okay, and I'm happy.
All right, thank you so much. I heard we start with the podium, that's why I hurry up a little bit. And yes, Adam, there was a penalty against Bruno Mulders. That I can confirm. We have to check a little bit how much time and where he ends up in the classification, but there was a penalty.
That's a shame. Okay, Bruno Mulders then is likely to fall through the field as a result of that. Our grid sheet, or our our podium sheet will change as a result of that, I'm sure. So then, the podiums, I believe, are about to kick off, and with Bruno Mulders getting a penalty, I don't know quite who the top three are going to be here, at least for third. I believe, yes, the pink suit of Jack Davidson is therefore moving to the podium. So he inherits from Bruno Mulders. Jack Davidson on the third step of the podium. Second position for Vittorio Garelli. And up to the top step, Gianmarco Ercoli.
He's too busy watching the races. So now we have the national anthem of the winning driver.
Now we get the Italian national anthem for Gianmarco Ercoli.
beautiful, perfect throwbacks to the national anthem.
Big moment then for Gianmarco Ercoli, his first victory under the Illumatech Racing banner. Bruno Malders was set to receive that trophy, but Jack Davidson, last minute there with a penalty applied to Bruno, inherits it instead on home turf. Vittorio Gorelli with the second step and the championship lead, most importantly. And Gianmarco Ercoli, who have a strong starting position for tomorrow, I think he'll be third on the grid, in a really strong place after this victory. A finger on the crown to potentially be the king of Brands Hatch. There you see the top three situated on the podium. We'll get some pictures, and then they'll celebrate some more. For many of these drivers, they'll then shift focus to kind of coaching and helping their open driver teammates. Of course, the Euro NASCAR Open race is still to come here in just a couple of hours' time at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit. American Speedfest 12 is all action affair. There's racing on the circuit as we speak, and there is more Euro NASCAR to come. For now, the champagne being sprayed down at Victory Lane. And Gorelli, I think, fairly happy. Second place nets in the championship lead, and of course the championship defence is what he wants. Don't forget your trophy, Gianmarco. Come on, that's your first one of the season. It's pretty hefty as well. Unrelated, but I did once see a very prominent GT racing driver abandon a second place trophy in the airport. If they're not winning, it doesn't mean anything.
In second place, car number 30, Liam Heseman.
Liam Haseman's jumping up with Bruno Malders then for the junior trophy podium. So Malders demoted to the fringes of the top 10, I think, with that penalty. Jack Davidson, the junior trophy winner. That's a big tick in the box for him. 19th in the overall standings coming into this weekend. And here at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, it feels like Jack's season is jumping back on the tracks. The closest to home that he gets, of course, the Scotsman. I think he and some other locals suggest that Knock Hill might be a fun Euro NASCAR track, and well, certainly it would be a different challenge, but Brands Hatch is the home of NASCAR in the UK these days. The top three junior trophy drivers then celebrate, and Jack Davidson with the result there. You can see how windy it is around the circuit. The winds have been pretty high all day long, and of course that's that additional complicating factor for our drivers. Jordan Wallace, meanwhile, to the third step of the podium. He hadn't rehearsed that, didn't know quite where to go. Second step of the podium for Max Lanza. Kajaya taking the victory in Challenger Trophy, the Georgian racer. He also finished 11th overall, be looking to try and get himself into the top 10 on Sunday here. Their aspirations are overall results down at Team Georgia, with the support of RDV competition, of course, who have been so successful in recent times. They lost the clutch on the championship lead today with that issue for Paul Giuffreau. Dufresne will be keen to make hay tomorrow. He got a good qualifying lap in, as it were, during this race, with the fastest laps of this race determining the grid for Sunday. So Dufresne will be right up there when we go racing again for the Pro Division tomorrow afternoon. The signal is given. Spray the champagne, folks, for one last time up on the podium here at Victory Lane. Your Challenger Trophy podium celebrates. And that concludes the ceremonies down in Victory Lane here at American Speed Fest. And the teams and drivers will now start to switch focus towards the Open Division race, which is coming up next. For now, though, let's look at some highlights. So then, pole sitter Gianmarco Ercoli. He was on the inside line. It had just been raining around the circuit. The oil was down, the oil dust was down to try and soak it up, and everybody struggling for grip in the early stages. It was Ercoli, though, who moved into the lead. It was ultimately a lights to flag win for Gianmarco Ercoli. Everything else behind him, though, was a lot more interesting. Jack Davidson moving up to second place from fourth on the grid in the early stages. He would try and challenge Gianmarco Ercoli. Davidson had a real head of steam at the start of the race, but soon he'd find himself defending more than attacking, as the likes of Garelli, even Armetta were challenging him. This was the moment that Garelli started to really nip at the heels, tried to get to the inside there at Druids, couldn't make it work. Got a great run out of Clark Curve for the run towards Paddock Hill Bend, and moved into second position. Garelli's next mission was trying to hunt down Gianmarco Ercoli, but that was quite a mission, it must be said. Grisonis and Armetta were having a scrap. Liam Hazemans took advantage of Grisonis getting a bit wrong-footed. He moved up the field there with that one. This was Claudio Remeggio Capelli just straying wide there at the first corner, and it wasn't the only time we saw him in that gravel trap. Got there eventually. Capelli fell through the field and then ultimately ended up in the gravel on a more permanent basis. The number 77 of Julian Reberg was being made extremely wide by the German. Equally, Vladimir Osiortis' car. Claudio Remeggio Capelli off the circuit then with a trouble, and that brought out the full course yellow and then the virtual safety car, and then the virtual safety car was lifted, or was it? It was difficult to tell, but the race restarted. Vittorio Garelli was right on the back of this man Gianmarco Ercoli, but it was Ercoli who held the trophy high. A great race then in the NASCAR Euro Series, and for all of you watching at home and for everyone here in the grandstands, the Euro NASCAR action isn't over yet for today. We'll be back with the Open Division in a couple of hours' time. Make sure you join us for race 2 of the day in the NASCAR Euro Series.